Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, dying time is here. That's right, we're talking about Smile 2 on Kill by Kill. Well, greetings and salutations, Internet. It's your old pal, Patrick Hamilton, coming to you once again from the stage. This is the Kill by Kill podcast, where we are dedicated to celebrating the least discussed component of any horror film, the characters. We're going to unpack all the goriest details of Smile 2 in the hopes that a pop star's untimely end is just the beginning of the jokes we might make at their expense. And as always, there is only one person I trust to make sure that if I'm passing on some sort of weird trauma demon, I'll make sure the room is clear first. The one, the only, Gina Radcliffe. How are you doing today, Gina?
I was going to say, yeah, I'd make sure to stab a needle full of adrenaline into your heart to bring you back to life.
Yeah. So let's get into spoiler free here just before, because it's a newish movie. And we're trying to get this out as fast as we can. But, you know, we had a bunch of things that we knew were coming out around this time. We didn't know what all we would have time for, but we both found a little hole in our schedule that we could do Smile 2 in. So what were your general feelings about this sequel to a movie that I think for us was like, it's fine plus?
Yeah, I would say it ranked between it's fine and it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I thought in some ways that this was a little better than the original.
Me too. There were improvements here that I really appreciated. I
was impressed that they went in a different direction.
Yes, with
the storyline. I mean, it does when you watch it. When you watch the opener, it does appear to be a natural sequel to the first one, but then it goes in a different direction, which I thought was, I don't want to say unusual, but unexpected.
Yes. I think the direction it takes in putting this in the pop star world, I think is one of the best improvements in delivering this kind of story that the franchise could have possibly have taken. I think it is incredibly smart.
You know, on the negative side, how this, you know, for lack of a better phrase, smile demon works, I don't know that anybody's really given it a lot of thought.
Yes. And I think this opens a hole that we have to talk about in spoiler territory. But in the first one, there is this long thing that we, discussed in that episode at the time, in that when you have a story that someone has mental health issues, and then whatever this paranormal or real life horror that is happening, that is part of the plot line, becomes center, and they're like, is this person crazy? Or is it even crazier that it's actually happening to them? That's only an interesting question if it's actually happening to them. And in here, there are long portions of time where I don't know if it's actually taking place. And that is an issue that I think makes this, while I think better executed, actually might be less effective as a motion picture. I found it wanting in those ways in terms of like acting and direction, with one major exception, and even writing. I think this is a more interesting plot wise. The first film is more personal. This is more maximalist. And as a result, it gets to play in a bigger field. No, I don't think they know how the smile demon works, Gina. I really don't think they do. No, I mean, Ring, you know how that shit works. It's crazy. It doesn't make sense. No, I don't come to it to make sense, but it makes a kind of sense. Freddy makes a kind of sense. I'm not sure this makes a kind of sense.
No, and I think it still remains this sort of like from out of left field shocker where, oh, okay, this is actually like some sort of supernatural being that is doing this. It's
right.
not.
Are we talking about is this a Pennywise situation? Is this just a demon who has a particular flavor of hell that he likes to lick? Is a Necronomicon being opened up to communicate with this bad boy? It doesn't even have a fucking name. I know most movies don't get better when you explain it, but at this point, someone needs to do some level of explaining.
And when I thought this a certain character was going to be basically the Basil Exposition of the movie, and he sort of is, but
in the way that he at least is aware that something is happening.
Right. He gives her some insight.
And is able to give credence to the fact that while this is incredible, I can actually see the lineage of it being passed on from this person to this person to this person to this person, and you're next. And the only conceivable way I can think of to get out of it is to do X, Y, and Z. And you're like, okay, someone has an idea of how to combat this, as opposed to the last movie where we were like, I don't know, shoot somebody. Which, if that worked, though, Gina, we have to get into spoilers for that. All right. So overall, some improvements, very well acted.
Very, very, very. I thought it was very tense.
Yeah. There's a mood that it carries throughout.
And super duper gory. It's very gory.
It's carrying on a certain level of, obviously, we connected the first film to J-horror in The Grudge and The Ring. And now upon viewing the second one, I'm like, oh, obviously Sinister is another part of this, where they're just trying to take that curse idea and really round it out. And we're surrounded by like curse movies for the past 5-10 years. And this is one of the few that is genuinely broken out in a mass popcorn way, as opposed to things like tarot.
Oh, Jesus.
Where it doesn't fucking work. Like it's not simple enough, and it's too, and it's unnecessarily complicated. And I know too much about it.
Well, I think it does strike a sweet spot between, the movie's just about trauma and just being and also just being, there is actually a monster in it. Like it's not, it's not just a metaphor. Like, but it is, this monster, feeds on emotionally vulnerable people. So I think it kind of hits that spot rather well. I mean, maybe that's what's resonating with people. And
I think putting it in this world makes it even more interesting and resonating. It's grander in its scope in a certain way because it has chosen a pop star. But it isn't just trauma. There's also the sort of addiction recovery element of it that I think is an interesting variation of mental health that I found an interesting attack on this material that I found some of the most engaging stuff out of it.
Yeah, and also this may seem funny. I feel like and I think the actress is also a singer.
Yeah, she is.
So her music and her dancing, it felt realistic to me. Where like like we talked about before, like I think when the Salem's Lot episode that for some reason Hollywood has a hard time showing realistically what it's like to be a writer. Or there. Remember in when we did the Hitchhiker episode with Willem Dafoe, and the woman is like doing a reading of some of his work, and it's like how did this guy ever get published?
Yeah, this person should not be popular at all. This is terrible.
Her music, her look, her vibe seemed very plausible to me for like a modern pop star. Yeah. So I appreciated the realism of that. And let me tell you something. When I went to go visit our friend Megan Sunday back in September, she had me watch the movie Vox Lux with Natalie Portman, a strange but interesting and well-made movie. But neither of those movies, both that and this, should disabuse anybody of the idea that being a pop star is fun.
Yes.
Because, boy, it looks just grueling and terrible and exhausting, and who would want to do it?
And of the two movies that are horror-tinged that involve pop stars, I enjoy Sky Riley infinitely more than Lady Raven. No disrespect to Lady Raven. She's
is that
from Trap?
Trap. Yeah, I haven't seen that one yet.
It's come on HBO Max now. I refuse to call it Max. And it not for me. I'll be honest with you. I'm a Sky Riley stan.
Is John
when it comes to
Hartnett
this.
not good, not enough to, or just the music or the movie itself?
Just the music. Just we're talking music for music.
Oh, okay.
I think there's lots to like about.
Yeah,
that.
no, I buy her as a pop star. I believe it.
I had not seen her in Power Rangers, but I had seen her in Aladdin, because my kid had an Aladdin fixation at the time, and I remember walking out of that going, "Well, whoever was Princess Jasmine, that person has a future. She manages to come out of this clean, and Nassim Pedrad, that's it. those are the two who walk out of this movie with pluses in their columns, and she is so into this movie.
Oh, yeah.
It does not deliver fake moments.
This is I don't want to, people will probably have my head for this, but I feel like she's trying to go for almost a Toni Collette in Hereditary thing.
Yes, Gina, holy shit, that's in my fucking notes. Yes.
Where she really just puts herself through the ringer for this.
She is so committed to this. And I think it is to the movie's benefit. Because, and no disrespect to Sosie Bacon, who I believe also
they're just trying for different things.
Yes.
Like Sosie is trying for a more subdued, wounded kind of thing, where her character is remorseful but also defiant at the same time, and like they're not better or worse. They're different. They're different takes at the protagonist of these. And
that is something I genuinely appreciate in this, is that while it is repeating so much of the formula of the first film, as almost all sequels do to a certain degree, I do think it is going for different flavors within that palette, right? They're both cakes that are constructed in a certain way, but I'm getting different flavors when I slice into each of them. And I really do appreciate that. And I want people to keep that in mind when we get into spoiler sections and I have some constructive criticism towards Smile 2 in the franchise in general. But that being said, if you liked the first one, if you want to go see a good popcorn horror movie, if you want to see some interesting gore moments, you can do a lot worse than Smile 2.
Yeah, absolutely.
This is a pretty good movie. If you liked the first one, I don't think this one is going to necessarily bump you from that. So that's our recommendation. So let us know if you have not seen the movie and want to keep yourself pure. You can pause it here or re-download it later. Like, subscribe, comment, review, all that stuff. Don't worry, folks. The body count will continue. Okay. Let's get into spoilers here. Now, horror internet's boyfriend, Kyle Gallner, returns.
Folks don't get attached.
Don't get attached. He's got a smile demon in him, Smilemon, and he's got a plan.
The Smeemon.
And his plan is to target Eastern European gang bangers with the smile demon. And Gina, I've heard worse ideas. Listen, he's like, who do I curse this with? Who's going to pass it on to the worst people? Like, this is some Batman level shit that he's doing here. And for that, I'm down with this plan. Now, is he in a condition to plan this out well? No. It turns out, no.
No, he's like, how many days do you have to?
I believe it is 6 days.
Yeah, he's about on day 5.5 at this point.
Day 5 and 20 hours. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like like I can't even say the desperation has set in. Like, the desperation started setting in on day 1. But it's either this or just grab up a homeless man and give it to him. The
movie does not repeat what Scream 1 does, which is give someone a false ending in which they triumph.
This goes bad from Jump Street.
So at least there's variation there. Don't worry. This movie's going to pull the same fucking trick. So that.
Yeah, there's a lot of, there's a lot of zagging on the audience.
There's too much zagging.
Like or don't like.
The zag is the problem with me, Gina, because in the first film, I would say about 75% of it was this is happening in the real world. And 25% are flashes of insanity and things that you've done that you're unaware of. In this film, I would say 95% of it, based on the end of it, has not happened.
Yeah, the absolute ending is brutal and also kind of funny and I admittedly I sort of saw it coming. The whole audience is going to see this happen. It does pull its punches a bit.
And as a result, I think you're undoing a lot of some of this has to have happened. You have to have a balance.
Like I was thinking about the first movie, and I believe there is a scene in which she goes to I think it's her niece's birthday party. And brings what is a birthday gift that happens to be like a dead cat. But to my recollection, that actually happens.
That is a big thrust of that film, is that and this movie is attempting to do a version of that and fails because it makes it unreal in that it is isolating you from anyone who can help you. And that, as we discussed, that feels a lot like you're trapped in a manic depression state where your actions, your attitudes, your reactions to things are so extreme, it drives a wedge between you and anyone who can help you, further isolating you and making the condition feel worse and therefore making you worse. That is a very realistic thing. That is very grounded. Now, on the other end of this, there are incidents that are very much bring a dead cat to a birthday party for Skye, but they're not real, because if any of them had been real, she wouldn't have been allowed to go on stage at this concert. That wouldn't happen. You don't elbow an old lady off a fucking stage into a table. A moment I found hilarious.
It's like that scene in I don't remember which Naked Gun it was where like he ends up on top of Queen Elizabeth.
The only thing I could think, because there's a bit of setup and there's this woman who's brought her on stage and you can feel her reaching out because obviously this person is having this terrible moment on stage, and she reaches out with her hand, and all I could think of, Gina, I swear to God, was gentle pressure.
And again, this all turns out to be in her mind. She's basically getting go fuck yourself, San Diego, with the teleprompter. I honestly, because there is moments of this movie that are very funny.
Yes.
And I honestly thought we were going to go for an I'm Skye Riley.
Oh my God. This is a room full of influential people. You can't just Batman somebody off a fucking stage into a table and have that not ruin your goddamn career.
Well, yeah, I mean, she was already should have been doomed just with that, well, I actually don't get anything out of doing this. So, kids don't get influenced by music.
Right.
Which sort of feels like a nod to, do you remember, and again, I'm dating myself, as an old person here, when Fiona Apple, won a bunch of MTV awards for her first album, and she's basically, this is all bullshit.
Yeah. It's why she will forever be the realest fucking rock star in the world.
Of course, yeah. But at the time, that was shocking for her to not be up there all crying.
What you was saying was the truth.
Yeah, no, but it was. But you didn't use award show platforms for that kind of thing. I mean.
And one of the elements I think that is an interesting elevation here is to place it in somebody who has to maintain an image, not just professionally in terms of, in the previous film, you have a psychiatrist who obviously has had issues with mental health in the past, but she has to maintain a level of professionalism to have that job. and she's, you know, ruined relationships in the past, and it's fraught and everything. It's what gives these movies the juice, is really the interpersonal destruction of somebody. And that ultimately makes it more interesting than a lot of the curse movies we've had in the past 5 to 10 years. It's that twist, that grudge twist, that really makes it interesting. But here you have somebody who is not only their own profession, but they are an industry. Without them, all these people don't have jobs.
Right. I mean, like her mother is her manager. Can you imagine? I'm sure you get along well with your mother, but can you imagine like constantly being on the road with her and her micromanaging you and her nagging you to make sure you have your 12 bottles of Voss water
Are you trying
per
to
day.
put a fucking smile demon in me right now? Because the very idea of this, it gives me hives. Like, yes, I love my mother. She's a lovely lady, but holy shit.
And being reminded over and over again that everything the two of you have built together, you know, rides on you being able to keep your shit together, and her, you know, recovering from, you know, drug addiction, and not to mention a horrific car accident that killed your partner.
Right. That by appearances, she caused.
Yeah,
it was a murder-suicide. Only she didn't get the job
or
done.
at least a over dramatic gesture.
Yes, she's not aware of her circumstances. She is not aware of the danger. She is being fucking provoked.
Yeah, he is taunting her, and they're both, you know, drunk and high, and, you know, but like, you know, just you know, I can't even imagine what that sort of, and yet so many pop stars, you know, who came into the, you know, and I get the impression that she came into this pretty young, and it's like, you know, yeah, they're stuck with their parents as their manager, and it's like, what kind of, you know, nobody wants to be around anybody that much all the time.
Well, I've had a constant refrain in this industry for a long time when it has to do with, you know, I'm not on this end of it, but obviously I'm kind of wrapped into it. But they call it management for a reason. And if you see people who are being put into vulnerable situations in which they seem out of control, it is because they are not being properly managed, in the sense that they're not being given room and space to deal with personal things in a place where it is not in the public eye. And Sky is not allowed to do that. She has not been given that privilege. She has to get out there.
There's so much that she needs to get through this ridiculously timed tour. And like, you know, her, you know, making the rounds on television, and like having to relive the accident over and over again, and recovering from her addiction. You know, she needs a personal physician because she's still dealing with, you know, physical aspects.
Yes, that are real. Like, she fell off a fucking cliff.
Right, but like, and she can't, you know, that she can't get a prescription for painkillers because which is stupid. You know, she needs, you know, a therapist on call. She needs, you know, a rehab sponsor on call. And as best as I can tell, she doesn't have any of this. You know, she has her manager. She has one, you know, fawning assistant. And then she has this, you know, backer Darius, who, you know, is kind of sternly watching everything from a distance,
constantly disappointed that she is not doing
he's
what
like,
he wants.
basically he's a daddy figure, basically.
Oh my god!
But not in the way that a father figure should be.
No, he's only to grant this patronage approval to her. I feel like there's been a fair amount of thought given to this motion picture. It's not like he came at this and I'm like, I'm just going to repeat everything.
No.
Now, a lot of it is repeated. The formula is absolutely installed within this thing.
It is, but I feel like, you know, the setting being different, the you know, other than, you know, Kyle Gallner's appearance at the beginning, you know, it not being a, you know, 5 minutes after the events of, you know, sequel. I think that's, it could have worked as a standalone movie. probably not, because people are gonna be like, well, who the hell's this guy at the beginning?
Right,
I mean, what is this? What does this mean? But I think it is certainly a strong enough movie on its own.
What I found interesting this time around from a marketing standpoint, because so much of Smile's initial success 2 years ago was they had a very smart marketing plan, which was to put people at events.
They just have them smile.
That worked. And I'm a little agog that they never did this. This didn't happen this time. They just chose to abandon this very effective marketing technique. I have to believe that it's really weird for me that Paramount didn't have enough money to find somebody to smile behind the home base at the fucking, World Series. That's weird to me.
I think that the first one did well enough that they don't have to make people want to ask anymore. What is this? What's with these weird people smiling?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so even if you didn't see it, you kind of know the whole sort of. And let's face it, it's like a Jack Nicholson Kubrick stare.
Yeah.
Where he's like kind of very unnatural, looking down and leering sort of thing. Which is why they literally hired Jack Nicholson's son.
Right.
To be her even putting him in a poster for it, even though he's not actually. It's one of those things where his spirit kind of hangs over everything.
Yes.
But like he only is in it, on screen maybe a total about 5 minutes. He gets like a flashback of their accident, and then he pops up to kind of taunt her at this this speech she gives as she ends up elbowing the old lady into the crowd.
And I think those are some of the more effective moments in the movie.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And like I said, he looks like he hatched out his father's forehead.
Yeah.
His voice is even similar, which is bizarre. Yeah. Like when he's laughing at her in the car, I'm like, ooh, this is kind of eerie. I mean, obviously, like, our children, pick up, certain things, from us and from, their other parent. And sometimes it is a little eerie to see it, but like she was just particularly effective with him. It's like, was there a mother involved in the creation of this?
Was he hatched substance style out of his back? Is that what you're wondering?
Yeah. Cause this is baffling.
Yeah. I mean, this movie is doing just fine. It's made nearly $100 million worldwide. I don't know that it's going to do as well as the original. And I think the only reason, the first Smile had plenty of competition too. So I do think they could have goosed this a little bit with a little bit of fucking marketing, but I don't know that Paramount has the money to do that anymore. I think they're willing to do what they need to do to get a result, and they had confidence that this could do that.
I mean, I do find it interesting that in both movies, your star value is Kyle Gallner, which again, I love Kyle Gallner. As I said, we Kill by Kill believes in Kyle Gallner supremacy, but outside of horror, he's not much of a known quantity.
No, but
he still is like the biggest name in both movies.
Yes.
And like I said, folks, don't get attached. He is spectacularly gone. Like in the first, like minute 10.
I do have notes on the execution of his plan. I feel like he is not playing well.
He is Final Destination, even in that he is hit by a truck that just seems to appear immediately in frame.
Yes,
and is rendered to a boot and a pile of meat.
He's atomized under that truck.
That's like when you've got the title card opening on that. I'm like, okay, all right. Yeah, I'm in for a good time here.
It's unfortunate that we don't get more Kyle, but also I think it's an effective use of. He is such a vulnerable personality. He's intensely likable.
They could have so easily made it so that Sky crosses paths with him. And instead, he passes it on to he inadvertently passes that's called the Smeemon. No, I don't like that. Ew, forget it. No,
I really should have workshopped this before we hit record.
the smile demon. He inadvertently passes it on to sort of like your low level drug dealer. Who in turn is Sky's dealer for she gets bootleg, not bootleg, black market, I guess, Vicodin from him. And then that starts off the whole, so there's like a middleman connecting Kyle Gallner's character and her.
Is Drew Barrymore resuscitating her post-strike career here by, I don't know that this movie really captures what people tune into on her show. I don't know. I only know her show from two sources: random TikTok, and we had to work on this project for ABC, which is an extreme makeover reboot. And they have these two organizers who are now the hosts of it. And so they had a different organization show. And part of that organization show, they went to Drew Barrymore's New York set to organize her kitchen. And they just go out and they never have a resolve to it. They just show up. They're like, we have 12 spatulas. And like, why do you need 12 spatulas? Because we're a TV show. And if one of those gets damaged, I need to have extras, but I don't have anywhere to put it. And then they start organizing and you never see the finished fucking result. And then we looked for other episodes. They didn't have another episode where they gave you the end result of their organization. It's maddening to me. But Drew Barrymore seems like a nice lady.
She does. I like to think and hope that being a strike breaker, was an aberration.
I think she was forced into it by her parent company, which...
Yeah, probably. CBS. And I think she figured out immediately, oops, I fucked up.
I think not only did she realize, oops, I fucked up, but when her first apology was another, oops, I fucked up. That's how fast she went from oops, I fucked up to, oh, fuck, I fucked up and I fucked up my fuck up. It was
right,
bad.
Exactly.
It's not good.
I mean, I just hope that she's not going to turn to like, what Larry King was in the 80s and 90s.
If she is Larry King 2.0, we could do worse.
That's true. That's true. Because where it's like you have a fictitious character, you being interviewed by a real life journalist.
Yes. And she is nothing if not a real life journalist and doppelganger survivor. So we have that to remember. There's another podcast out there that's How Do You Drew that connected with me on Instagram, and they're like, oh, I commented on something having to do my constant refrain that she is the best producer that the Scream franchise ever had, which I wholeheartedly believe. Then like, oh yeah, she's great, and she doesn't have a lot of horror stuff, so it's interesting that you've covered her a couple of times. And I said, yeah, give me a call when you hit Doppelganger. We'll talk, because that movie's a lot.
That's actually one of my favorite episodes that we've done.
It's a genuinely baffling motion picture.
I revisit that quite often.
There's so much going on there that is of its time. It's just trying to make the most of its meager budget. The shaking of the branches outside of the fake house always gets me. And the decisions it makes and the opportunities it takes to go, what's really cool? What's the coolest thing in the world? Writing screenplays. That's where the real rebels are. Oh, God. Get the fuck out of here. Anyways, back to Smile 2. So, yeah, Sky is an interesting character in that the situation she's in is so monumental. The pressures on her are so much bigger than your average person, only because she's not an individual, she's an industry. And so this comeback tour is come after rehab and recovery and surgery that's stitched up, 2/3 of her gut and the small of her back. And like,
and her leg too.
And like, I don't know about you, Gina. I'm not dancing after that.
I had to put aside the fact like, okay, she had like a compound fracture.
Yeah.
Which if you don't know, that's when your bone, when you could see the fucking bone sticking out of your body. I do not buy that she is not hobbling around.
She should have a brace on that thing like she's fucking Tiny Tim.
Right. Let alone doing these like, Britney Spears, Lady Gaga, complicated dance moves.
Yeah. And then, yes, her drug dealer, her prescription drug dealer is played by Lucas Gage, who I last saw being taught how to be a bouncer in the remake of Roadhouse.
Oh my.
So it's going great for him. He was the one who witnessed Joel's bad demon pass playing. And so he happens to be Sky's old schoolmate and on again, off again drug dealer. And when she goes to his apartment, I'm looking around here and I'm going, am I jealous of this drug dealer's apartment art decoration?
I was going to say, coveting that giant neon dollar sign.
Gina, not only the neon dollar sign, the squirt gun showbox of different squirt guns. I'm like, I can make that. I can make that and put that in my home. That's cool. I will never have enough room in this tiny ass house to put in a pinball machine. This motherfucker has two.
I always want a pinball machine.
Oh, I dream of it. My friend Than, who I love dearly, worked a job for a really long time that was very lucrative and now is a stay-at-home dad. And he was able to rebuild this house that he bought in Wisconsin to allow him to have an office downstairs. And he bought not only a pinball machine, but Theater of Magic, one of my favorite pinball machines of all time. And the seething jealousy I have of this is honest. I had to be honest with him and go, I kind of want to kill you and wear your skin because you can just walk downstairs in the Theater of Magic. That's pretty fucking awesome. You need to appreciate what you have, sir. And he does. He's very appreciative and he worked very hard for it. So he deserves it. But I am one of those people who is literally a pinball maniac. That is my game of choice. I like to do it. And I'm never going to have enough room for it. It's just, this is a very tiny fucking house. I have more windows than walls. I can't put up art. And I certainly can't build an entire fucking pinball machine. So I better be happy with what I have and try to keep it. But he has two. And I am jealous, even though he's dead now.
I was going to say, I mean, jealous enough to be willing to smash a weight into your own face.
Which
we said it. We said this on. We recorded our Patreon episode where face smashing is big in 2024, baby.
Face smashing is huge in 2024. People want to destroy that face. As he said, if Guillermo del Toro, he should be receiving kickbacks. I think
he's just doing a chubby little elf dance. He's just like, yay! Shocks the audience every time, and it does.
When the face smash, the weight, the people cry, and I don't know how he's standing upright after the first swing.
Yeah, I don't know either. I mean, I think that like you were kind of not really in control of yourself at that point. Yeah. I mean, let us not forget that later it was revealed that someone else who was afflicted with the smile demon ripped their own jaw off with a crowbar.
With a crowbar. And that is, I think, the elements of this that I enjoy is the sort of reveal of how gross it can get.
Right.
Because I mean, like, a lot of it's
I
trickery.
Yeah, I think, it's everything's a little more amped up in this one. Because like in the first one, it's like, oh, and not to say this stuff is bad, but like, they slashed their own throat, or, oh, she set herself on fire, which is like, yeah, that's horrible, but that's plausible, I guess, for lack of a better word. But like, repeatedly smashing yourself in the face with a 50-pound barbell weight, it's like again, as you say, I think after that first one, you're falling down at the very least. I mean, let alone be able to do it a second time.
She immediately pukes, which hey, what are you going to do?
Listen, I had the same question she did. I love that they show her Googling, can you find DNA and vomit?
Have DNA?
That I was thinking of, can you dust for vomit? Because I am curious about that. It's like, obviously, if you bleed all over the place, if you leave semen all over the place, they can like, they can, at least get your blood type from that.
Mm-hmm.
But can they do that with vomit? And I'm because I mean, it's like, well, there's saliva in vomit. But you mean eventually that's going to...
Maybe the police are like, some crimes are just, you don't want to know.
It's like,
they can't be
and it's like, but saliva also dries really fast. So I'm like, what would they, how would they check to see whose vomit that is?
Her fingerprints would also be all over that fucking place. Like vomit's the least of her problems.
I mean, it's probably on the doorknob and places you didn't even remember touching. And I mean, there is that. But I mean, I guess, you would hope that the cop will see that and think, oh, well, that's probably his or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That place is in great disrepair. Also, good for him. Obviously, he's been using those weights. He's very in shape. But also, his diet is terrible. It's just nothing but takeout going on.
Well, he's a busy man,
places to be, visions to see.
Yeah, I mean, you don't get to own neon dollar signs for just sitting around doing nothing.
Right. You got to be active. You got to be out there. Always be closing, ABC. This brings up an interesting question, though I did not have until this moment, Gina. Did the smile demon go through the drummers of Spinal Tap? Is this movie connected to This Is Spinal Tap? But it's only ever hit the drummers.
And they do all die, spectacular deaths. I mean,
yes, unexplained spectacular deaths.
Two explode, I guess, at that point.
Yeah.
We don't really know this. We don't know the circumstances of the gardening accident.
But it could be one of those, took his own jaw off with the,
I mean, how do we know
the crowbar situation?
I was gonna say, how do we know he didn't do something horrible with a pair of like pruning shears or something?
Yeah.
Could have like gutted himself or something with them, but that's possible.
In terms of offsetting your costs, right? With a movie this has a budget of a little north of $20 million. But the day the Voss rep booked Smile 2,
shit.
must have been, just nothing but the stripper pole and cocaine.
Oh my God.
Because they're like, we're getting featured so hard in this traumatic, death-riddled horror movie, but we look great.
Whoever like secured the deal on that's like Voss employee of the century.
Sky is the only person on earth who can drink water faster than I do, and I appreciate it.
The most horrifying special effect, but she chugs that entire bottle like in one go. I'm like, I wanted to throw up immediately after seeing that.
I mean, we've done colonoscopies, the both of us. And the only advantage I had in that with the jug of liquid that you have to drink is the fact that I can genuinely chug liquid. I can take it down. I can open up my throat and accept liquid.
I start coughing and gagging like if I try to do that. I would never worked out in a frat house. Chug would have turned into puke real fast.
Now, I take no responsibility for what happens when it gets down there. But getting it down there, it's a freeway of love in a pink Cadillac. Just cruising.
I'd be curious. I'm grateful to say I've never dealt with a substance abuse problem or drinking problem. I'd be curious if what she said about her addiction counselor telling her that every time she felt the urge to use again, she should drink water. If that's based in a real life thing or not. I mean,
I can tell you that based on conversations I've had with psychiatrists, that centering yourself is a way to take you out of anxious moments.
Right. Like the one I've heard with people who are trying to stop themselves from self-harm is to snap a rubber band against your arm, because it stings and it gets that that release, but you're not actually doing physical damage to yourself.
Right. Recenter yourself. Drink a cool gulp of water and feel it go from your mouth down your throat into your stomach. You can feel its journey. You're here. You're not in danger. You can understand where you are in this moment. You appreciate that you're having this physical and mental reaction to stimuli, but they're not in control. You are. And so from that standpoint, not the worst thing. I don't know anyone's recommending her to house Voss bottle after Voss bottle.
She was like if you make a drinking game out of how many times she drinks water, you're going to be on the floor about 45 minutes in.
You can die from drinking too much water. That is one thing that can happen. She's on the edge.
People on ecstasy are looking at her like, yo, babe, slow down a little bit.
So the element here that I have a difficulty is not that there are multiple fantasy sequences. It is that it seems to erase the consequences of what was an element in the first movie, which is I'm driving you to the brink and I'm driving a wedge between you and anyone who can help you. And shit just happens here. And it turns out none of it fucking matters. She has an entire interaction with her best friend, Gemma, and Gemma doesn't fucking exist.
Well, she does, but we learn that they are still estranged by the she has, as unfortunately happens to a lot of people who struggle with addiction, has alienated many of the people in her life, including her closest friend, from what looks to be before she became famous. And, it appears that Gemma has forgiven her and she comes and stays with her and, offers some measure of comfort. And then it turns out that, no, actually, she's been, that she was never there. Like this was just the smile demon kind of fucking with her in a way that was not quite fucking with people in the first movie.
This movie has a lot of zags, but I feel like it's turned the zag, another Spinal Tap reference, it's turned the zag dial up to 11.
Yeah, it is elaborating on what the smile demon can do, but still does not explain much how the smile demon works, which is a little frustrating.
It's obvious that Parker Finn, the director, knows horror, loves horror, is interested in doing things with, visual references. I do think we need an international ban on turning the camera upside down, going through a cityscape. I'm sorry. I said this the last time. I said this with Smile. We got to stop. It's cool. We can't always do it. We got to figure out something new. But the moment in which Skye turns on a bunch of lights in her apartment and it's done like it's Evil Dead 2, the laugh that came out of me, Gina.
Yeah, there's some very deliberately funny moments in this. And I think it's it's effectively disarming because it does get so gruesome and bleak.
The sort of Gaspar Noé climax background backup dancer attack that she has is pretty bravura. Like that is your take. You're it's not an original thing because obviously there's a lot of Gaspar Noé in that sequence, but he's doing it in a way that we haven't seen in a while. There's a little bit of that. There's a little bit of the remake of Suspiria going on there too, but like, it's contained, that mirrored hallway in that substance apartment that she has. It fucking works. Like he's good at it. Like I want him to see him do something else. I think.
Yeah, I would like to see what he does with I don't. Did he write the script for this?
It says written and directed. Okay. So
I'd be curious to see what he does with a wholly original property. Because he definitely got a good eye, and yes. He's very effective at balancing, as I just said, moments of humor with, moments of tension and genuine horror. But yeah, I am inclined to agree with you that discovering that virtually everything that's happened from, I don't know, minute 25, let's see, say to minute 1 hour, 45 minutes didn't actually happen does lessen the impact. I think what makes the Smile Demon so effective is that everything that is safe to you is suddenly not safe. And so when you've got this mother character who you obviously there's a lot of tension in their relationship, and there should be no such situation in which a parent becomes wholly reliant financially on their child, unless the parent is like 95 years old or whatever. I will not get started on my rant of child actors becoming the primary breadwinners for their families, because I think that is weird and wrong and terrible, and you're a terrible person if you ever allow yourself to be in that situation. But the mother character does offer some sense of stability, in that she kind of keeps her on the straight and narrow, and makes sure she's drinking her endless amounts of water, and keeps her got to do this and that today. You have to be here at X o'clock or whatever. But when she turns on her and starts telling her the things she's already been afraid that everybody thinks of her, which of course is again plays into one of the most effective aspects of the Smile movies is the whole digging into fragile mental health, and pulling a Gollum on you, and telling you well, this is what people really think of you, and I knew that the whole time, but actually hearing somebody else confirm that is always more painful than you expect it to be. And then she attacks her, and Sky attacks her mother and stabs her to death. It's more effective when you think she really did that. Yeah. And then you see, oh, wait, no, she's still alive. Okay.
Right. She's still alive. None of the concept. And I just feel like it lets the air out.
Like
of
none
the
of this
tires.
happened. Like the thing with the old lady never happened. This rant she does at this award ceremony, never happened. It's just, as far as everybody else knows, she's fine and ready to rock and roll, but which again kind of lessens the impact a bit.
I just think it's going to be harder next time around to get people to care, because you're telling a really effective story, but without consequences, it doesn't mean as much to me. And that, I think that's unfortunate, because I think a lot of it does work. I think one of the better scares this entire year is that sequence when she wakes up in bed and her friend Gemma is sleeping next to her, hanging out. And all of a sudden she has a flashback to the car accident, and Gemma's face basically becomes a headlight.
Yeah, that was right. That made me jump.
That was good, right? And I'm not saying all jump scares are bad, but there's a lot of, jump scares in this. And I feel like a few of them really work. That being said, the crux of that first film, in that here is this existential version of a mental illness thing that plagues your real weaknesses, your real vulnerabilities. Let's not call it a weakness. Let's call it a vulnerability, right? Humanizes the idea of mental illness in a way that I think was very heartfelt, very effective to audience members. People felt it. And there's a slight switch here in Smile 2 that I did not like. Now, let's go to when Sky is doing the meet and greet and she's signing a bunch of posters and t-shirts for fans. She's taking photos. And of course, she's approached by someone who's smiling at her. This is another zag, because this person is obsessed with her. And it becomes revealed that he is a stalker. And of course, now we've gone beyond. Here's something that is attached to mental illness. This is a real thing, and an attachment disorder that this person is going through. Is obviously aggrandized for the movies, but if we can't leave it at that. He has to also have chronic cystic acne and dirty hair and grimy clothes and skid marks in his underwear. And why are we now dehumanizing mental illness, Smile franchise?
Yeah.
Why have we decided to go in this? I found this profoundly disappointing for what is ultimately a throwaway. I don't know why they had to present it like this.
Yeah, I mean, they could have just had this dude. I mean, I get the random naked weirdo, just running at you is like a thing now in horror movies.
Right.
I'm not sure.
Everyone needs an It Follows.
Yeah,
sure.
I was going to say, I'm not sure when we collectively decided that nudity was terrifying.
I think it's what it is it's
unexpected.
It's both the attack and the unmoored. This person has gone beyond any sort of consciousness that they have to put on. It's
unexpected nudity.
It's doing the violation in two different ways.
It felt a little cheap.
It does. It feels a little like a cheap stab at a mental health issue and making us yell "ew" at him, as opposed to making that person clean cut and
right.
Just
like
unhinged.
He had like a skin condition, which I'm like, I don't know what the relevance of that was supposed to be, other than one more. Well, we need some sort of visual cue. This guy is gross.
Right. Whereas, again, it's a zag, but I don't know why they push it in this particular direction when the thrust of this franchise appears to be about dealing with mental health issues. And then this one is kind of like, yeah, but not this guy. This guy's an asshole.
Right.
What? Come on. You're better than that, Smile franchise. I found it weird. I found it an odd placement. I understand the desire to put that kind of thing into, because we're dealing with pop stars. We're dealing with celebrity. That's a part of celebrity. It's the way they chose to do it to make it outwardly gross.
I think it would have been more effective if it was just like a quote unquote normal looking guy who starts in with the whole, I'm here to protect you. I love you so much. I mean, and then I
think it would have been more effective because it's more honest.
Right. And then you could still do the, it's like stripped down and, left a trail of clothes like, you do when you're trying to get someone to bed with you for the first time. And, then still do the, naked and running at you thing, I mean, you could still do it like
even if you wanted to do the skid marks there, where they're clean cut, but inside, that would be better than what we're given. I just think someone had to say, there's a level above this that we can get to that would make this more effective.
Right.
Speaking of which, while this is very gory, and there are some good practical gore effects, the headlight face, the Kyle Gallner death at the beginning of it, the jaw removal, these are all good practical effects aided by CGI into it. When we get into full Smile Demon crawling out of her guts, it is faker than fake. It is faker than a yoga death in a violent nature.
Yeah, it's not good. The face stretching is not, like, which is disappointing because when you have the scene where she hallucinating, her dancer's attacking her, and you've got the one sticking his entire arm to his hand up to the forearm down her throat. That's pretty good. Like you could, her face is stretching. You could see her her neck bulging and all. But like when the Smile Demon, like, and then this was also in the first movie. It like makes your mouth really wide and because again, I don't understand why the Smile Demon needs to physically enter you.
Right. Isn't it already fucking in there? It was making her drive to Staten Island before. You're telling me it was sitting on the outside?
That's the part I remain unclear on. And I genuinely say that if anybody can politely explain how I thought that the demon was already in you and that the whole point of, killing yourself from another person is that's how you transmit the Smile Demon onto another person. I'm not sure where the extra step is of it physically opening your mouth up and coming into your body, and then that's the point where you actually no longer become yourself.
It's already making her do things.
It's, you know, when that's when that's the point where you're no longer yourself, and then, you know, commit suicide in a spectacularly horrifying manner.
We're getting to Jumanji here. Is Jumanji where Jumanji comes out, or is Jumanji when you go into Jumanji? Smile Demon comes out. Smile Demon is given to you. You get Smile Demon. Smile Demon lives in your head. Jumanji doesn't come out.
Right. And the only, but like, as this character, Harold, the older guy, his brother, the one who ripped his jaw,
nurse.
You know, like he says, the only way, you know, like, it's like, there seems to be conflicting information. It's like, you know, are you free of yourself? Are you free of it when you could pass it on to someone else? Or is your death inevitable? Like either someone else has to kill you, or you have to commit suicide. Because the way with Kyle Gallner's character, Joel, trying to get rid of this by, you know, forcing another, you know, person to see him kill someone, like, and then I remember in the first movie, it's like, well, you could get rid of it, you just have to kill someone. And it's like, okay.
But he does. It violates the rule. I didn't make the rule. It violates the rule in the first sequence of this movie.
But why, how does Lewis seeing this drug dealer get killed, how does the Smile Demon get passed on to him then? Because
I don't know.
He should have.
It should be negated at that point.
And also because Joel does not walk out. Well, technically he does, but not on purpose. That's an accident when he gets hit by it.
So the violent death doesn't pass on the demon. Maybe it is following the rules. People are screaming at their phones right now. Maybe it is actually abiding by the rules. He killed somebody. It's involuntarily passed to the person who witnessed the killing. It's at that point out of Gallner. He's free at that moment. What kills him is getting into a gunfight with the gang members.
Right. So what did Lewis see that you know transmitted the demon onto him?
The murder.
Right, but that sort of implies that the mere act of seeing a violent death will give you a Smile Demon.
Only if the person committing the murder has the Smile Demon. Jumanji. I'm 100% serious. If we are missing something, please. No, I want to hear people's theories.
Please explain, because I really honestly feel like something is not. And again, I still think these are good movies. I think these are both eminently watchable, you know, interesting, even occasionally scary movies. But I do not understand the logistics of the Smile Demon. And if you do, I honestly would appreciate an explanation.
And I appreciate not knowing everything.
Right. I don't need to be carefully spelled out.
Right. I don't need somebody to open a dusty book. Like I don't think that's something that's needed.
I don't need a voiceover explaining that, you know, how this thing has been in existence as, you know, before mankind or anything like that. A
slow credits scroll, like Star Wars style in the beginning somehow.
It's just like
Smile Demon.
Exactly. You know, something is just not connecting for me.
But in a mixed bag, it's more good than bad. Yes. But I do feel like someone needs to grab the reins here.
If they're going to make more of these, and presumably they are, because literally thousands of people see Sky jam a microphone into her eye socket.
Right. We've got a Rings situation, a movie I've never seen.
Now you've got like mass spreading of this thing. So, you know, if you're going to make more of these, this is going to have to be consistent at some point.
Yes. The thing is, like, there's scale here, right? You could go certain directions. You either have everyone in that audience get a smaller version of the Smile Demon, and you have a rash of violence that people try. Then it's a completely different movie. Or you Final Destination it, in which a certain number, like the Smile Demon can't split himself up too much. And he can only get into 6-7 people when we got a Final Destination thing. I was going to say,
the Smile Demon only has so many hours in the day.
He's like bouncing back and forth. And then I think you're diluting the power of the movie, which is this character study of one person. And maybe it does need to be broken up at this point. But I do think what Smile has done for two actors in a row is given them roles of a lifetime, right? I wholeheartedly believe that Sosie Bacon is a good actor because she is really good in Smile. And the same is true here, with Naomi. She has proven that she can handle some shit. This is 100% very dependent on her going through this stuff. And if you're not good at that, it's going to fall on its face. It's just going to be tricks. The only reason you care about it is you kind of want to see her find a way out. And the only way you get that empathy is her being able to draw you into a difficult situation.
Right.
I don't want that to be lost because people these are not hugely known quantities in terms of their name value as stars, but because of the word Smile above the title, you're being given a chance to lead a motion picture. And it would suck if that then begins to be divided amongst old CW stars like the Final Destination franchise. Any other things we need to wrap up about Smile 2? A general positive, it's fine plus.
Yeah, no, I did it. I did enjoy it overall, but I 100% agree with you that and making most of what happens part of the Smile Demon's goal to drive her insane and make her so desperate that she commits suicide in front of someone, or in this case, many someones. I do think that considerably lessens the impact.
It's a bummer. And yet there's so many positives to it. It's a real genuine mixed bag, an overall positive for me. But yeah, I think going forward, if he continues on with this or someone else picks it up, if they decide to make more of them, they're really going to have to decide how much of it is real and how much of it isn't. And I would err towards the real because consequences matter. And also the scenario that we've been getting.
Right. And also it helps that, as with, what made the first one, feels like it came from a personal place is, her increasingly fragile, emotional state started pushing people away from her, like her sister and her asshole fiance. Oh my God, I don't think we did enough to talk about how awful this fiance character was.
It would literally, it would be a full hour. Maybe we should schedule something, just revisiting Smile. Am I the asshole? Yes.
Yeah, and then so all that she had left was Joel. Whereas here she never really. She had lost people because of the addiction issues and all, but she never really lost anybody in the present. It was sad to discover that she had not, in fact, reconciled with Gemma, but there wasn't a one by one, now there's no one left kind of thing.
Right. We're not isolating her into a desperate situation because I think they wrote from the back, from the end backwards
right.
to a certain degree. And as a result, she can't have real bad things happen because it would be too noticeable. She's not an everybody. She's a somebody, and that can't go unnoticed. You can't murder your mom and drive to Staten Island and then do a concert. That's just not something that's going to happen. And obviously didn't happen because her mom's in the fucking audience. Okay, we're in a loop here. So all that's left now is to choose our own deathventure, where we decide of the deaths portrayed in Smile 2, if we were forced to die in one of those ways, which one would it be and why?
I have a question. Sorry to interrupt.
Sure.
Are we going to include deaths that didn't actually happen? Because then I think it would only be.
There's only one death that legitimately.
Well, that would be the mom, right?
That would be the mom.
Well, okay.
So stab yourself multiple times with a shard of mirror. Wait, what? That wasn't real? Does this count? That's my exact note.
Okay.
So of the deaths that occurred on camera that we can confirm actually happened, shot to death in what seemed like a very shitty part of town, run over by a truck, lose a foot,
Oof.
and most of your intestines.
There's like nothing. There's basically, they're carrying you away in a bucket after that.
Right. Drive over the side of a hill, land in the trees, get half of your brain taken out. Yank off your jaw with a fucking crowbar, Gina.
Man.
And shove a bedazzled microphone into your eye socket and brain.
Oh, well, I guess, yeah, we got to count Lewis's death.
Oh, yeah, smash your face in. I didn't even write that down. Jesus Christ. Yes.
I don't like any of these, to be honest with you.
No, we don't come to smile for deaths I'd like to repeat.
I mean, again, I tend to go for quick rather than show-stopping. I'm going to take a wild guess that Joel neither saw that truck coming nor felt it hit him.
No. The last thing that went through his head was the Dodge Ram insignia.
Yeah. So, obviously I leave a horrifying scene, but I don't care. I didn't feel any of that. I'm opening my eyes and I'm in heaven. That
is the only acceptable death here. Just simply because it is fast. I still have a hard time believing that her eye socket is big enough for the microphone to actually make it all the way to her brain.
It sounds like she kind of like kept, flomp until it broke through. Because one thing you gotta love about the Smile Demon, it gives you a lot of determination. Like
it wants you to get there. Smile Demon has your back.
Yeah. It's like,
if we have Feel Good Freddy, he just wants you to reach for your dreams, sort of. And Jigsaw has a posse. And Jason Voorhees knows your fuck style. What we know about Smile Demon is he has your back. The wind is at your back when he's
and he believes in finishing a job. Never do anything half-assed.
Never give up.
Yeah, you've already hit yourself in the face with a 50-pound barbell weight once. Just go, just do it again. You can do it again.
A few more reps. Put the work in because the results will be worth it.
Your jaw's already hanging halfway off. Just all it takes is one.
Take it off.
Yeah, just do it. Do it.
You didn't start this to keep the jaw on part of your skull. Yank it off.
They're going to take it off anyway. You might as well save the doctors an extra step.
It's gonna be closed casket. It's fine. So that just about does it. Rate, review, and subscribe. If you have a review, we'd love to see it. A comment, interaction online. If you see us hyping up a new episode, please up it, whatever the fuck. We don't have tweets anymore. So whatever it is we're on, that's what you do. Find us on your socials. Follow us over on Patreon for bonus episodes. That's always cool. Josh Hollis does all of our artwork. And go to Revenge Body Memphis at bandcamp.com to find this tune and all of the remixes. Gina, where can people find you on these here internets?
I write about movies, television, and pop culture at my newsletter, GinaWatchesThings.substack.com. And I am on most social medias under Gina Does Things.
Do it today, people. Check it out. Don't worry, folks. The body count will continue for myself and for Gina. Bye-bye, everybody.
Bye.
Hey everybody, I'm Trevor Sikkema, host of the PFF NFL show, here to tell you what you can find on all of our shows throughout the week. On Mondays, we have the Grade Release Show, where myself and Dalton Wasserman break down every single game that you just saw in the NFL. On Tuesdays, we have the In the Trenches show with Ollie Conley, as well as the Quarterback Breakdown with Seth Galina. On Wednesdays, we've got the Rookie Review with John Ledyard and the preview for the upcoming week in the NFL with Carmen Vitale. We also have fantastic fantasy football shows, betting shows, and college shows as well. So make sure you are subscribed to the PFF NFL show wherever you get your podcasts.